We're reading Reddit stories today in the car again. A lot of our videos are probably going to be in this setting.
Yeah, we're just chilling in the car. We're gonna watch some video.
We're in the car, and we're going to react to some Reddit posts.
We're chilling in the car.
So let's get started right now. Now.
Am I the asshole for making my daughter leave because my husband is attracted to her? I, 55 female, have been married to my husband and my daughter's stepdad, 63 male, for 4 years. My 23-year-old daughter and I have a complicated relationship. She has been diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, or DID. She has a lot of trauma watching me and my husband's horrible marriage go down, was bullied in school. When she told me she was being bullied by peers, my view that all the children are innocent really tied my hands, because I told her that if I said anything to them, I would be an adult harassing a child.
I mean, not if you said the right things. You don't have to harass them, but be like, hey, let's.
But not all children are innocent. Not all minors are innocent, because 13 Reasons Why, that guy was a rapist. So,
which one?
Bryce. Moving on. She has blamed me for that ever since, and keeps referring to this one time where the kids at school called her trash due to the fact she wasn't taking care of her hygiene due to depression. Not all of my response was telling her to take a shower, and I bought her new clothes. The bullying finally ended with an expulsion and suspension for the ringleaders. She still throws the fact that the school clinic volunteers told her that if she was their kid, she would have gotten permission to punch back if the administrators didn't do anything. I thought that having her live with me while she finishes school and gets a job would help her childhood wounds. If my second husband and I modeled a healthy relationship, however, my daughter now doesn't get along with my husband. She is a very introverted, creative person who likes immersing herself in escapism. So she gets annoyed if she was sitting eating alone and my husband sits across from her and eats, saying she ate later so she could eat alone. However, my husband started acting distant from me and my daughter and complained that his eyes lingered for too long. And she got very angry, and there was a lot of shouting and slamming doors. Finally, my husband admitted that he's attracted to her, and it's hard to be around her all day. She was a walking temptation, and that's why he was avoiding sex with me. I was upset to hear this. I don't blame my daughter for this, but at the same time, the situation has become unbearable. Something I would have to give, and I couldn't collect my thoughts, so both of them still being in this house. So I gave my daughter money to stay an extended stay hotel and asked her to utilize her college emergency financial and housing resources that they have for students in need. She responded by storming out and telling my ex, who is now circling social media, using to paint me as a villain of all villains. I am not abandoning my daughter. She qualifies for the resources anyway, since my ex is unemployed and we are in substantial debt. I just need time to process the situation, and I don't want to leave my house to stay with my daughter when I have a marriage to figure out whether or not to save. Am I the asshole?
Yes.
So
why are you
choosing the man that's being weird?
Yeah, you're kicking out your daughter and you're worrying about potentially saving the marriage of the man who was romantically into your daughter, even to the point where he stopped wanting to have sex with you because he was thinking about your daughter.
That's crazy.
Your first instinct is to remove your daughter from the situation. Yes, your daughter should be removed from that situation, but you should have removed the man instead.
Yes, exactly.
Your daughter should be removed from you regardless, though.
I think that you are a bad mother, and I genuinely can't see that from your perspective at all. This person is obviously a narcissist. Someone said for the daughter to get DID, dissociative identity disorder, they would have to go through something severely traumatic. That's why we should not let unhealed people have children. I wish we just got Nick putting his ass
so he didn't want
in between the seats and ripping ass and fucking smoke bombing us and shitting, and he's been shitting, and it smells like hot garbage water, literally.
The men by the door. I wanted to share my experience with the paranormal from when I was a child. To put you in context, it's 2010 and my parents decided to move in this new apartment that was in a mainly Jewish neighborhood. I remember vividly my parents driving down the street and noticing how a lot of pedestrians were wearing these costumes and top hats. I don't have many memories from that time, but I do have one that stuck with me my entire life. One night, I was settled in my bed, and my bedroom door was open, and there he was. The man by the door, a 6-foot tall, blue figure, a man with a black top hat, a costume, and a long beard. He stood there silently glaring at me from the corner of the door. I frantically tried to close my eyes and hide under my blanket, thinking he would disappear if I did. A few minutes went by and I lowered my blanket only for my nightmare to be true. There he was, still standing and looking at me. I let out a scream and started crying for my parents. I would like to say that this was the first and last time I saw him, but it wasn't. After that night, he would always show up to my door's corner looking at me. And every night I would cry out to my mother to come check on me. It got to the point where my parents had to bring out their mattress to the living room to sleep with them because I would cry every single night. Even then, he wouldn't quit. He would stand right by the bedside looking down at me, crying in my mother's arm.
I have a question.
Could the parents not see her or him?
Whatever it was.
Right.
I don't think so.
Plot holes. I can't get into it if the story building's not locked in.
The visit from the man. It says
visit
it keeps saying men, but it's man. The visit from the man eventually stopped and now only have faint memories of it. A few years later, in my teen years, I was discussing the whole thing with my mother. I wanted to know if I just made all these memories up or if they were actually real. She confirmed to me that I wasn't crazy and provided me with information I didn't know at the time. She explained to me that the apartment above was rented by an elderly Jewish man who tragically died. He slipped and cracked his head open on the counter, leading him to bleed out on the floor. Apparently, there was still blood underneath the wooden floor. She believed that the apparitions were due to that and that they stopped once the cleaning crew removed the entire flooring. Does anyone else have a similar experience? This story, I don't really like it. It's kind of stupid because it's talking about a blue guy.
Blue.
And it's just talking about right there where the blood was. It doesn't tell us if the mom or anything. It's not enough context.
I agree there's not enough context, but I think it is still kind of creepy because, like, it's talking about the mom thought the son was seeing the man because of the blood that was there, and it stopped once it got cleaned up. And so that's, like, it's still creepy.
That reminds me of a time where I was sleeping in a trailer house that I used to live in, and my great aunt passed away in that house. She was 98. She passed away when I was around 3 or 4 maybe, but I have vivid memories of her. She was a very old woman. She lived a very long time, and she died in that house in a hospital bed because she had gotten very old and very ill. And my great aunt, who was still alive at the time, had come over to stay the night with us. She was in the living room with my mother, and my mother said, "Hey, it's past your bedtime. You got school in the morning. Go to sleep." And I was like, "Okay, I'll go to sleep." And I went to lay down in my room, which was the room right next to the living room. And I was laying in my bed, and the closet door creaked open, and I vividly remember this. I was not dreaming. I know I was not dreaming. And a black creature with glowing red eyes, I know this sounds like super cliche, but I swear this is what I saw, crawled out of my closet from like on the side of the wall and like crawled up onto the ceiling and like got right over my bed. And I looked up, and it was just like on the ceiling above me. It was so creepy, and I ran into the living room where my mom and my great aunt was, and I said, "There's a f***ing demon on my ceiling." I didn't say that, but I said, "Yeah, I'm not going to sleep in there," but I did anyways.
My room was like down the hall in the back of the house,
Yeah.
and then Bella's was like down the hall, but like to the left. My room had always been like kind of creepy, and we would always like find things in there and stuff. Weird stuff. It always just felt weird in that room. Stuff will always be like moved, Or like my Xbox will just randomly start like turning on and off and on and off. My Xbox still does that. But one night I was like, Bella was watching The Notebook on like a VHS tape. But it was like a movie to like go to sleep on because she needed background noise. And I was in there and I was like, yeah, I don't want to watch this crap. So I went to my bed and I was laying there. I rolled onto my stomach and my like face was on the side of the bed. And it was like dark in my room. The door was open though. I just heard like a bunch of whispering in my ear. It was just like that. Like it was just like I couldn't understand what it was saying, but it was like really aggressive and it was like right there. Alright, dude. I got up and screamed and started crying and I ran out of the room.
This is unusual experience back when I lived in Toronto. Between 2014 and 2019, I lived in an apartment with my dad. When we first moved in, we had almost nothing, just a mattress on the floor. Little by little, we made the space feel like home, but it was mostly a hodgepodge of mismatched furniture.
What the fuck is a hodgepodge?
I don't know. At the time, we didn't pay much attention to the flaws of the place. We needed a home, and we had one, and that was the most important thing. Reality settled in quickly. We lived in the hood. Right. We dealt with cockroaches, and at one point, when we were finally somewhat settled, bed bugs. We threw out what little we had and started all over again, but nothing could prepare me for what I would eventually experience. Bum, bum, bum. About 2.5 years into living there, I started to have frequent and intense bouts of sleep paralysis. I loved scary movies and all things paranormal.
Ooh,
Horror.
yeah, put your feet down. They stink.
What the fuck? Horror didn't faze me, and I enjoyed the thrill of being scared. But I was also an analytical thinker. I believed there was always a logical explanation for things, so when sleep paralysis became a regular part of my life, it was easily dismissed. To be fair, I was under a lot of stress. I worked 2 jobs, was in college, and silently grieving the ending of a long-term relationship. My relationship with my dad had always been distant. We didn't bond the way a father and daughter should. We had no idea of the inner workings of each other's lives. We coexisted more like roommates than family. Our conversations were quick exchanges of our days, but that was the extent of it. That's important to remember because it plays a role in all of this. So yes, sleep paralysis. It didn't matter how I slept, on my back, my side, my stomach, it would still happen. Even during the day while taking a nap, it would happen. Sometimes I saw figures, other times I heard speaking in strange languages, noises, and gurgling. The weirdest part was
I tried to make a gurgling.
The weirdest part was, normally, you fall asleep and then sleep paralysis would kick in, but on many occasions I'd be lying in bed and I could feel it coming on, as if something was waiting for me to drift off. But like I said, I was stressed out and that must have been the cause. Then the dreams started. Most of them were weird and random, like my dad being cooked alive on the stove. Disturbing, but meaningless, right? Other dreams, though, felt different. Ones where I saw people I now know to be dead relatives, or even myself dying. I still think about those dreams. Around that time, my dad suddenly decided to go on vacation. He told me just a few hours before he left, and honestly, I took it as the perfect opportunity to let the guy I was sneaking around with crash at my place for a bit. What the flip? One night after a session, this horrific smell took over the room. It was like rotten eggs, completely disgusting. I was mad because I thought my sneaky link had, let one rip. But he swore it wasn't him, so we stepped out of the bedroom. And that's when we realized the smell wasn't confined to just my room. It had spread throughout the entire apartment.
Damn, he stink.
Okay, so an analytical thinker would automatically think it would be a gas leak because gas leaks smell like rotten eggs.
No, gas leaks smell like fish.
Can you shut the...
And it would take an analytical thinker to know that it's just y'all two, and you didn't want to let one rip. So, just know that whoever you're with is malodorous.
It wasn't a one-time thing either. Another time, the exact same smell hit. But I was alone that night. That same night, I had this intense dream where my cousin appeared to me. His face was off, his eyes were bloodshot, and he asked me to save him. But then he started laughing like the whole thing was some kind of joke. The next morning, I woke up to the news. My cousin had overdosed and died.
So she's having premonitions.
Yeah. She's psychic or something. Dude. Then the music started. Morning, noon, and night. The same song on repeat. No lyrics, just instrumentals. But here's the weird part. You could only hear it inside the apartment. Step out onto the balcony, silence. Walk into the hallway, nothing. We even went to other floors trying to track down the source of this deep, vibrating bass. Nothing. We complained to management, but it didn't change a thing. The strangest part, it seemed like only my dad and I could hear it. I know this sounds like a never-ending string of bizarre events, and honestly it kind of was. Then the letters started showing up. Fuck no, what are you talking about?
Babadook.
At first it was just blank envelopes with blank cards inside, then they got more specific, letters addressed to our family name, and finally they became outright disturbing, letters addressed to me and my dad, filled with hateful, disgusting messages about how our people had plagued the sender's life. It was so messed up. I have no idea. Our people? What do you mean by that?
Like,
Is it just like,
White people!
Is it just like a raging racist? Is that what we're dealing with here? That was the final chapter of my time in that apartment. Luckily, my finances improved a lot toward the end of 2019 and I was finally able to move out. My dad ended up moving during the pandemic too. The first night of my new place, I slept like a baby, and honestly, every night after that was peaceful, even when the pandemic hit and life felt bleak. The bad dreams, the sleep paralysis, and all the strange energy were just gone. Recently, my dad and I had one of those rare conversations where we opened up to each other. We're not super close, so it was surprising. He started talking about his experiences in that apartment, and what he told me left me speechless. He'd also dealt with sleep paralysis and weird dreams. After I moved out, he said he'd hear shuffling sounds coming from my old room, even though it was empty. The strange smells, he got those too. And sometimes he'd get this overwhelming sense of dread, like if he didn't leave the room he was in, something terrible would happen. Then he told me about the women. He said they'd sit at the edge of his bed just watching him. The way he described them was eerily similar to the women I saw in my dreams. I don't know what to make of all of this. Part of me wonders if it was something paranormal, but at the same time, I was dealing with a lot internally during that period, and I know that could have played a role in everything I experienced.
well, that wouldn't make sense because the dad had the same shit going on.
The dad saw the women that were appearing in her nightmares.
Well, you know what I said about women?
No, I don't.
You just teach us instead of handing them a freaking packet, yo.
I am a 36-year-old.
What's the title?
Bro,
I am a
What?
just read the title.
I am a 36-year-old incel.
Oh, that's the title.
I turned 36 years old this month, and I am an incel. I have been in denial over this for a long time. I've been a loner growing up, the kind that drifted from social circles into my 20s. Before I even knew it, my 20s was almost over. At the age of 29, I started focusing on self-improvement and started working out. I got in the best shape of my life, and for the first time, I had confidence in myself. I worked a dead-end job at this point and decided to start a business. One day, out of the blue, I became obsessed with growing my business and didn't have much time to do anything else. I worked 15 hours a day for 3 years straight, and my business was really successful over the years. Things are good now. My business is a success, and I have more times to do things lately. Lately, I have had a lingering lonesome feeling in my heart. I have always been the type to not address my emotional well-being and just turn things off. This was normal for me growing up. In a dysfunctional family and not having many friends or close ones, I've been depressed and not happy. I've come to the realization that I'm an incel. It didn't occur to me that I am an incel until I read the meaning of it.
Mostly online subculture of people who define themselves as unable to find romantic or sexual partners.
I have never got any girls growing up or in my 20s. I have never had a girlfriend. I started self-improvement journey because I thought I would get girls. Maybe you just think you're entitled.
Maybe you need to get self-improvement.
Maybe you need to get some bitches on your dick. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't deserve
Give it
it.
a yee-ass haircut.
Get some bitches on your dick.
Better yet, Tanisha will call your dog ass.
But the problem is that I don't even know how to get girls at this point. I am old, and honestly, I feel I missed the boat. A part of me has honestly given up. How do I even go about getting out of this mindset at my age? On pen and paper, I have everything I need, and my life should be great. Anyways, I just wanted to get this off my chest. Thanks for listening. Maybe stop thinking you're entitled, and maybe download a dating app. Maybe go out, because it sounds like you're working on yourself a lot. Maybe
Try harder on that one.
try to go out and get some friends. You're probably just not applying yourself. You probably just have so much insecurity and you think that you suck all the time, so you never put yourself out there. But if you do that, I'm sure that you will find a girlfriend, maybe.
TIFU.
We don't read abbreviations, we read the actual meaning of it.
Today I fucked up by accidentally flirting with a teenager. So there's this girl I sit next to in my college biology class. I got the vibe that she thought I was cool on the first date. Today I had a conversation with her in the library and I gave her my number saying, quote, "Nice talking to you," at the end. During the conversation, she mentioned being a dual enrollment student, and I didn't know what that meant. I looked it up after I got home, and it means she's a high school student. I'm concerned that I could get in trouble with a counselor or parent for this. I plan on apologizing the next time I see her in class the day after tomorrow. The only flirtatious thing I did was give her my number, and I didn't say anything weird. I didn't know what dual enrollment meant and accidentally gave my number to a high school student. Added and edit. A lot of people have been wondering in the comments, so I might as well inform y'all that I'm a 22-year-old bi woman.
I don't think she is in the wrong because, like, how is she supposed to know that it was a teenager in college? She definitely should have asked and confirmed before giving out her number, but I don't think that was really her fault.
I mean, like, they can be friends. Like,
Yeah.
how do you, like, just because she's in high school, like, that doesn't mean she's, like, not 18.
But we friends though.
She could be in high school and be 18, especially, like, if she's doing college courses, like...
Yeah,
But there's also, like, sophomores that take college courses, but I feel like you'd definitely be able to tell.
Yeah, you
know.
would.
Yeah, for
So, I mean, like, at tops, I'm guessing she's probably 17 or 18. Another thing, like, she just gave out her number. Like, there's probably nothing really crazy going on. This is the last story, you guys.
Weirdest thing I've ever experienced. Bum, bum, bum. I live in a small mountain town, and it takes 3 hours and 4 mountain passes to get to the nearest city. Pre-COVID, I made that drive 2 to 3 times a month over a period of 10 years. I pretty much had the curves and climbs committed to memory. One night, I'm making the drive at 2 a.m. to catch an early flight, cruising the curves and enjoying the lack of semi-trucks. Left curve, right curve. No, there's a big sweeping curve to the left coming up when all of a sudden I'm driving on a straight road. I'm well aware there isn't a straight section on that highway for another 30 miles. So immediately I'm looking around trying to figure out where the hell I am. Not a single highway sign on the side of the road. Smacked myself a few times to make sure I hadn't fallen asleep. Phone has no service, but that's normal, so I can't check my location. Looking out the window, I realize the high desert scrub trees have been replaced with the thick forest. Imagine your headlights pick up dark, heavy, can't see, 10 feet forest that I would imagine in the Pacific Northwest, something we don't have here. I'm looking at the clock, and for 15 minutes I'm driving on a straight road through this ominous dark forest when I should be on a curvy mountain pass in the desert. Right about the time I'm going to have a full-on panic attack, that sweeping left curve appears and I'm out of the forest back in the scrub. So I chalked it up to drowsy driving and an overreactive imagination until it happened again. 2 years later, same spot, except this time I'm not alone. I had my brother riding shotgun on a similar airport run, and all of a sudden I'm on the straight road. That time it only lasted about 5 minutes before my brother looked around and asked, "Where the hell are we?" Cue the sweeping left curve appearing and back in the desert. Even though I can't explain it, I'm at least grateful I had a witness.
Yeah, that's really weird. This was reacting to Reddit insanity. Expect more videos like this. Expect also a plethora of other videos. Show your mother, show your dog, show your disabled grandma.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. We post weekly, either on Thursdays or
You know
Fridays.
what? You don't even have to like it. Just thanks for stopping by.
Yeah,
thanks
thanks
for making an appearance.
Yeah, you don't have to like it, but you do have to comment because I can see you.
Even if it's hate comments, I don't care.
Because haters gonna hate, but we're gonna come back like a boomerang. So
We're not referencing JoJo Siwa. She's canceled.
she's not canceled.
Well, she should be. Reacting to JoJo Siwa insanity, and then
We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. You're so awesome for that. Bye.